What day is it? Why am I in different clothes? Why was I in a closet? This game. Hello everybody! I'm back. After 2 months. Whoops. But I have a very good reason. Pokemon Sun and Moon launched in November and I've just been playing non-stop. That and the extensive therapy appointments from being haunted by numerous specters. But now the Sun and Moon hype is kind of calmed down and I'm ready to make this video after sitting on it for a few months. So let's get into it. But first,
before I begin, I should explain my method of reviewing. Each game I review will be critiqued upon 5 different attributes that make up the game: region and roster, art design and graphics, music, features, and story. Each category can earn a total of 5 points with an overall possible score as high as 25 points and as low as 0 points. This score will be determined at the end of the video. Remember, these scores are based upon my opinion and should not be taken seriously, as my opinion really doesn't matter. I like each and every Pokemon game for one reason or another, even if my review doesn't seem to express that.
now that that's out of the way, let's begin. I'm John Mahogany and today we're reviewing the newest installments in the Pokemon series, Pokemon Sun and Moon. Spoilers abound.
Pokemon Sun and Moon are the first games in the 7th generation of Pokemon, succeeding Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. They were released on the 18th of November 2016 and are set in the Hau'Oli region. These are the first Pokemon games to be released in Chinese, both traditional and simplified, and were the fastest selling Nintendo games in North America, Europe, and Australia, selling 3.7 million, 1.5 million, and 240,000 copies respectively in their first 2 weeks.
Sun and Moon is notable for its complete transformation of the Pokemon formula, even gaining a lot of praise because of it. The games are set in the Hau'Oli region and follow the player as they try to complete the island trials, whilst dodging the rambunctious street gang Team Skull. However, there are mysteries afoot, from mysterious Pokemon to interdimensional creatures, and Sinnoh references galore! So let's quit delaying and start talking about what makes these games special, and rather brilliant, starting with the visually distinct region of Hau'Oli. You know what X and Y's biggest problem was? You mean aside from the terrible narrative, incompetent team, and bland post-game? Well, yeah, that, and the fact that its roster was the smallest we'd ever seen, with only like 70 new Pokemon. Guys, Nintendo didn't learn its lesson.
In the Hau'Oli region, we are introduced to 81 new Pokemon, plus 18 Alolan Pokemon. Alolan Pokemon are part of a new concept called regional variants, which are Pokemon of older generations who have been given new appearances, types, or movesets.
This concept is actually really cool once you start to think about it, because while people do complain that the roster is rather small, and it is, I personally think that these Alolan Pokemon are almost completely new, considering how different they are from their original forms. So really, you could say we got 99 new Pokemon, which is only one less than Gen 2's roster. And all things considered, this roster is amazing.
Aside from the obvious problems, all the new Pokemon are really slow, or some of the rare wild encounters, and a good majority of them are not part of evolutionary lines, and these hoes being heavier than Groudon.
Blasphemy!
The Sun and Moon roster has many great Pokemon from a design and concept standpoint. This is the first time that I can say that the Pokemon of this region actually feel like they're from there, because they just blend so well into the environment and are each so ingrained in the culture that they feel like real animals. Even a Pokemon as insignificant as Pyukumuku has a role in the Alola region.
It truly is quite spectacular how well done these Pokemon were, despite some of their controversial evolution methods. However, I can say I did develop a great appreciation for these Pokemon, because they just felt so real as each one of them seemed to play some kind of role in the region. From Mudsdale galloping along jagged mountain paths to Yungoos fending off those dastardly Rattata, even to the guardian deities. They just make this region feel so alive. Although, even if these Pokemon weren't there, well, I mean, aside from maybe the guardian deities, Alola would still be a pretty fantastic region.
The Alola region is the first Pokemon region completely made up of islands that isn't jarred traverse. I'm talking about you, Eastern Hoenn. The 4 islands consist of Mele Mele Island, where your journey begins, Akala Island, Ula Ula Island, the largest of the 4, and Poni Island, the smallest but probably the most important island. And there's the Aether Paradise, I guess. The region also has the fewest amount of numbered routes, but this is counteracted by its spectacular numerous landmarks.
The design of this region is rather well done, I gotta say. Each area just flows into the next while still shouting Tropical Island Paradise, yet not being the same everywhere you go. I cannot tell you how many times I just roamed around and explored to see what this region had to offer. Then I had to find those stupid cells.
Mele Mele Island is mostly forest with a small moundscape, which is fitting as it's kind of a precursor to the massive jungles and mountain ranges of the other islands, such as Akala's lush jungle and Willa Volcano Park. Ulu Ula Island, as the largest, has the most diverse landscape, from a desert to a snow-capped mountain and the Pokemon League. Lastly, Poni Island is one big canyon, which contains the Battle Tree and ancient altars of the Sun and Moon.
But of course, Alola's high points aren't purely in the vein of its landscape, for it is in its excellent design and graphics that makes this region and these games so beautiful. Appreciate Alola for a second. Man, isn't it just great? And you know what all these places have in common? They just look spectacular.
Pokemon Sun and Moon are the first full-scale Pokemon games, meaning each model is proportioned properly to one another. Well, except for this massive Machamp.
But I ain't complaining.
Alola is based off of Hawaii, and if you couldn't tell that, well, get out from under your rock. Because of this, a lot of the game's design and elements are based upon the terrain and culture of Hawaii. This includes totem statues at sacred sites, rampant malasada shops, and endless beachfronts, all of which are accompanied by a spectrum of light, the likes of which we've never seen before in a Pokemon game.
Before this game, I could not say that I had watched the sunrise in a Pokemon game before, or any game for that matter. But thanks to a rather stubborn Politoed, I did, and frankly, it was the coolest thing. Seriously, if you're a hyper procrastinator, open your 3DS, get into a battle, and just watch the day pass. You'll have a good time.
Of course, I cannot talk about art and graphics without mentioning the many wonderfully detailed nuances in the game, like each trainer having their own Pokemon and different types of Pokeballs. Seriously, all of the fishermen have lure balls, like the Kirk kind of balls. Also, the tribal patterns on the top are a subtle detail that really add to them as Pokemon.
Frankly, there are so many little details in these games that I could go on and on and on, but because I don't want this video to be a week long, let's move on to something that was a little more hit or miss for me. The features in Sun and Moon I can de facto say are probably the weakest part of the game. From the confusingly operated Festival Plaza to, well, actually Festival Plaza was probably the only new feature I didn't like.
I loved Refresh. It made me feel close to my Pokemon and it tied nicely into Pelago, which is actually really fun once you get into it. And Pokemon is something everyone and their grandmother's grandmother has been wanting.
That Machamp rad though.
My main issue with Festival Plaza is that the tutorial sets it up like a Join Avenue type of project, talking to visitors and sending them to different shops. Simple enough, right?
No, because these hoes just want to share feelings. I don't care if you cut a Caterpie, Quandissimo. Dye your shirt or get out of my plaza. Sorry. Quandissimo and I aren't exactly in the best place right now. Let's just talk about the music. Alright, don't hate me, but I'm just gonna come out with it. I'm not exactly the biggest fan of some of Sun and Moon's overworld themes. However, I do think it's given us some of the best battle themes since Gen 5. Guzma and Lusamine's battle themes are actually up there as some of my favorite villainous leader battle themes. Not to mention the Tapu battle theme, Elite Four battle theme, Champion Title Defense battle theme, Aether Foundation Employee battle theme, Team Skull's battle theme, Sol Galeonala's battle theme. You get the idea.
Alola's battle themes and overworld themes too just have this way of setting the scene and tone for what's about to happen that just engrosses you into the game and its story. And it made it really hard for me to not play this game without headphones in. I wanted to hear every note and feel every beat of emotion inside these songs. My favorite theme in the whole game is when we only get to hear a few times near the end of the game, and it isn't even a battle theme. That theme is Plumeria's Messege, which I like to call Gen 7's Unwavering Emotions. This is because this song packs a punch I didn't see coming, especially so when coupled with the scenes it's played during. The constant rise and fall with the heart-pounding drums and those whistling flutes just make for an emotional score that hits me right in the metaphorical feels every time I put it on. Unlike Unwavering Emotions, however, this is not a sorrow-filled piece. It's a hopeful one, a song that sings of what is to come, the light at the end of the tunnel, and the end of a beautiful adventure.
Okay, I'm gonna get serious for a second. I honestly don't know how to feel about this game's story. I just don't. It's just so damn good!
After the travesty that was X and Y's story, I was hoping Game Freak would redeem itself with Oraz, and for the most part, they did. But I remained skeptical leading up to Sun and Moon's release, because it seemed like they were throwing a lot into these games. Ultra Beast, the Aether Foundation, and Team Skull, along with the mystery behind Lily, Nebby, and Type Null.
Now, I don't know how they did this, but they were able to pull off all of these elements seamlessly in a story that not only packed a punch, but an emotional one as well.
I've never cried during a movie, or a video game, but this one, oh boy, it almost got me there with one particular scene. And I don't think I want to say its story surpasses Black and White's because, well, both stories are amazing. Each game does something very different with its narrative. The message is that not all things are purely black and white, but that there is a gray area that everything sits on. Meanwhile, Sun and Moon's story isn't in the business of sending messages.
Nah, it's in the business of messing with your emotions.
This game has it all. It makes you smile when Nebby doesn't stay in the bag. It makes you laugh at Hau's pastry addiction and Rodam's witty comments. It makes you frustrated beyond reasonable measure when Lurantis won't faint. It gets you anxious when the Ultra Beasts slip into our world from the Ultra Space. It makes you feel disgusted when Lusamine tries to tell you off and justifies her plans by saying her kids are disgusting creatures.
God, I just want to punch her in that 40-year-old, 20-year-old face.
And it makes you feel heartbroken when it's time to say goodbye. But it makes you feel hopeful when your friend sets off for a new adventure. This is a game about family and bonds, I'd say. The bond between people and Pokemon and the families they've formed by going on their journeys together, that and the friendships you form with the trainers you met along the way.
And my only gripe with this game's story is that, unlike Black and White, where the story is actually about the trainer, Sun and Moon's story isn't. It's not your story, it's Lily's. It's about her growing up and becoming her own person, facing her fears and learning how to let go.
I suppose I cannot say that this game is without a lesson to tell. No matter what, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. We just need to believe in ourselves and stay strong enough so we can reach it.
So, in conclusion, what are my final thoughts about Pokemon Sun and Moon? Well, they were solid games, and definitely up there some of the best in the series. They're beautiful in many ways, but still flawed of course, and that's okay.
For region and roster, I give Pokemon Sun and Moon a 4.5 out of 5. The Pokemon were solid, and the region was diverse. However, I do have some gripes with the rarity of the new Pokemon and the lack of Alolan Pokemon outside of the Kanto originals. But I can let that slide, because I do think many of them are great improvements. For art design and graphics, I give it 5 out of 5. Pokemon Sun and Moon were beautiful games even from the first snapshots we got of it, but as soon as I had my hands on it and experienced the Alola region personally, could I truly appreciate the depth and majesty the graphics and art style contributed. For the features, I'll give Sun and Moon a 4 out of 5, because despite my disdain for Festival Plaza, things like Pokemon Refresh and Pokepelago were a lot of fun, and the addition of Pokeride gave a lot of life to the world by making a piece of Alola's culture a key feature in the game's progression. For the music, Sun and Moon earns a 4.5 out of 5, mostly for Plumeria's message and all the battle themes, but also the addition of the themes used in Melee Meadow, Malie City, and the Ultra Beast Overworld theme. While I don't love many of the overworld themes, I don't dislike any of them, and thus, I didn't knock as many points as I would have. Lastly, for Pokemon Sun and Moon's story, I give a 5 out of 5 for being one of the most heartfelt and beautiful stories I've ever experienced. This story still leaves an impression on me 2 months later that I'll never, ever want to forget. So if we tally up the score, Pokemon Sun and Moon has earned itself a score of 23 out of 25.
Pokemon Sun and Moon are probably two of the best installments in the franchise, and for good reason. It's probably the best way to jump into the series if you're a new fan or a returning fan. It has something for everyone, and I think it has some of the best elements from each Pokemon generation. The OGs of Kanto, the culture of Johto, the diversity of Hoenn, the lore of Sinnoh, the impact of Unova, and the beauty of Kalos, all brought together into 2 compact cartridges. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some trials to complete and beasts to catch. I'm John Mahogany, and I hope you enjoyed this video because I enjoyed making it, and, as always, I will see you next time.